My name is Huysman. I'm a business consultant at Partena Professional. I work for our HR transformation team. And basically with our transformation approach, we can deliver every HR aspect of your business transformation, as well as the project management related to it.
So today we're going to talk about transcending the war for talent. First point, is it important for you to attract talent? Is it difficult? Well, according to a latest Belter survey, 44% of enterprises say it's very difficult to attract key talent in ICT. I guess if you're here today that you might be part of this 44%. And in 82% almost of cases, this means a delay in IT projects. And a delay in IT projects is also a delay in the value they should bring. So it is important then that we look at solutions. So to illustrate a bit today our presentation, we want to do the comparison between top sports and transformation programs. We see really, Partena is a HR transformation company. We, as Proximus Next, we are an ICT transformation company. And we see really the link between top sports and the enterprise business. So, are there any cycling fans here today? Oh, yes, okay. Very good. So we will start for you with a little quiz.
Okay, let's go. The first question is quite easy. So I'm going to ask you if you recognize the riders on the picture, as well as the team they are riding for. Anybody here knows who these people are? I think... Yeah, so we have Wout van Aert in the green jersey. We have Jonas Vingegaard in the yellow jersey in the Tour de France of 2022. And they both are riding for the Jumbo-Visma team. We have the exact same questions for the next slide, but I can say it will be a bit more difficult than the first one. So who are the riders, and does anybody recognize the team they are riding for? They look like amateur riders, right? They don't look like pro cyclists, although they are. So here we see our own Sepp van Marke at the left, and we see Laurens ten Dam at the right, riding for the Blanco team. And Blanco is a team that only exists for only 6 months, I think, in 2013. So next question is, does anybody know what the two teams have in common? Well, the surprising thing is that it's basically the same team, only at different periods in time. So if we look at the people on the left, that was the Blanco team, which was basically the relaunch of the Rabobank team. After Rabobank almost ceased to exist, I think in 2012, because of doping scandals. So because of the scandals, a lot of the sponsors left the team. A lot of the best riders left the team, leaving them with Sepp van Marke, unfortunately. No, it's just a joke. And with Blanco, so no sponsor on their shirts. And it really, I think it's Dutch humor. So they wanted to say, we don't have any sponsors, so we are Blanco. And the exact same team, only 10 years later, became the world's best cycling team, being able to attract the best talent as well. So that's an amazing transformation that they went through. And today we are going to look at how they've done it, because we can learn from it. And if you look at the steps that they undertook, they are more or less the same than any transformation project we are doing with Proximus Next or Partena Professional. So first of all, it's about identifying your objectives, identifying what is important and where you want to go to. Second step is to identify how you are going to do it. So drafting a roadmap to go from point A to point B. Third is about attracting the right talent. So making sure that you have the right talent to do the job. Then there's the implementation phase, which is very important. And which we have to handle with a lot of care. And in the end, it doesn't just stop there, so you have to keep improving.
Yes, and that's really, really the same in transformation programs in enterprises. This is called the infinity loop. It's the model we use when we support enterprises in their transformation. And we start from strategic advisory, where we help our customers to say, okay, what do you want to change? Why do you want to change? What is your ambition? Then we go into technical consultancy. That's more translating into the what will you do and how will you do it? How will you change? It's the design of what you want to change. Then you have the implementation phase, of course, very important to implement things correctly. And then you have the phase where the operations of whatever you implemented, where we can help also with managed services. But that doesn't stop there, because you see in the middle, you see the transformation. That's why it's an infinite loop, because you never stop transforming, you always improve things, so you always go through this infinite loop again, and again. If you go a bit more in detail, if the clicker is working, yes, into strategic advisory. If you go back to Jumbo-Visma, they set their destination. They said in 2016, the CEO, Richard Plugge, he said, in 3 years, I want to be on the podium of the Tour de France. So he has his ambition. He showed where he wanted to be. And he showed it really by photoshopping the face of one of his coureurs and putting it on the coureur on the podium of the Tour de France. So really the people could see what they wanted to achieve. And guess what? 3 years later, less than 3 years later, they were on the podium of the Tour de France. So quite an achievement there. It's also very important also to know where you start from. What are the things you want to change? IT solutions, processes you need to change. It's important to understand what's there today and why you want to change them. But for us, this is a very key aspect which you should look into in every project. Is what is your core business and what is not your core business. And that is, for me, also the key in attracting talent. If you're focused on your core business, if you're excellent at what you do, you will attract excellence because people will want to work for your company. And for all the other aspects, which are also very important for your success, well, just rely on the best partners there are. For instance, our HR services, our HR transformation, is that your core business? No? Well, we have Partena Professional today. They can help you. The same for you, managing your workplace environment. Proximus Next, that's our core business. If it's not your core business, we can help. And that's also what Jumbo-Visma did. Really, they focused on 2 things. They said, I want to do scouting because I want to attract the best youngsters to my team. And they focused on training, really new training techniques to bring these youngsters to the best coureurs they have. And that's how they focused. And all the other aspects, bicycles, quite important. If you are a cycling team, quite important to have good bicycles. Nutrition, very important. All the other very important aspects, they said, okay, that's not our core business. We will surround us with the best experts and they will help us. And so they achieved their success by focusing really on their core and getting help on other aspects.
So after you have identified what you want to achieve, so the what question, what your objectives are, we are going to look at how we are going to do it. So basically it's the phase where we can help you with the road mapping. So again, you can compare it to cycling. When you're before the Tour de France, you have to be prepared. You have to have a game plan, a race plan, or even more than one, because you never know what might happen along the way. And even once the race has started, you have to be prepared for everything that comes on your way. So this is where we can help you with. It's all about identifying where you start from, of course, because that's a mistake a lot of companies make. They want to get somewhere, but they don't know where they are today. So we can help by asking the right questions to identify that. And of course, by mapping the to-be, to mapping where you want to be in the future. And the questions you will ask in this phase are related to scope. Like, for example, what is in scope, what is not, who will be involved, who will not be involved, and what processes and tools will we focus on. That's not enough, of course. So you have identified your starting point and where you want to get. Then you need a compass to get from A to B, of course. And a nice way of doing this is by using the North Star metric, which is basically a concept of Silicon Valley. And it's basically a measure to identify if you're successful or not. So if you look at a lot of the mission and vision statement of companies, it's quite difficult sometimes for the personnel to remember. Well, the North Star metric is a lot easier. So if you look at Airbnb, for example, for them it's the number of nights booked. So it's as simple as that. HR knows what they need to do to optimize that. Marketing knows what they need to do to optimize that. Production knows it, logistics knows it, etc.
Yes, and then you go into implementation, right? Quite important. And in cycling, it's easy. Put the guy on the bike and let him sweat. That's implementation in cycling. In HR and IT transformation, of course, it's project management, managing your project to deliver the thing you need to deliver. And whether you're in agile or whether you're in waterfall, it doesn't really matter. It's really the focus to end-to-end deliver the thing you delivered. And once you have a successful delivery, do you know how much value you created for your company? You created zero value. A perfectly implemented project is zero value, as long as there is not a first user who went through the change and is starting to use what you implemented. And that is a key aspect which is often forgotten, because change is difficult. It's very difficult, it's very personal also. All people will go through the change cycle at their own pace. So it's very important that you look at change management, at adoption services, to really make sure that the users adopt whatever you implemented. And it's only then that you will grasp the value out of your project. And for me, this is really the one metric of your project success. It's not I'm on time, on scope, and no. It's how much of what percentage of the people did really adopt whatever I implemented. Because it's only then that you will drive success for your employees, success for your company.
So once you have implemented the new setup, it doesn't stop there, of course. Then you go into operations, and that's where we can also help with the managed services approach. So both Proximus Next and Partena can support you with that. And if we look at cycling, if we look at Jumbo-Visma again, if I would ask cycling fans, what is the thing that distinguishes Jumbo-Visma from lesser successful teams? Anybody knows? It is data. For Jumbo-Visma, they are known for the data. They measure everything they are doing. They measure nutrition. They are measuring their training efforts. They are measuring the impact of material on their riders. They are measuring the impact of the weather on how they are training, etc., etc. So they have metrics about everything. And this is also how we like to work with both Proximus Next and Partena Professional. Because if you measure, you know. So basically, after implementation, we are going to measure what the processes and tools are doing, with the idea of identifying possible incidents and solving them. Also with the idea of continuously improving what we have put in place. And then finally also to check if we have the right talent or the right competences covering the processes and tools. And the way we are doing it is by using data mining techniques. And you can have a really nice example in the room next to this one, in the hybrid workplace booth, where you can see how Proximus Next is handling this. And then, of course, it doesn't end there. We have a fifth phase in our infinity loop, and that's the transformation phase. And it basically means that you're never done. So we are constantly going from one phase to another. Because the world around us is also changing, and we have to be prepared to deal with that. And to do that, we have to constantly repeat all of the phases that we just discussed. And again, really, really nice anecdote of the Jumbo-Visma team. So when they were at that time, absolute high, they just won the Tour de France for the first time in their history in 2022. Only 2 months after, they got together with the senior management and with the top riders to analyze what they could have done better in the Tour de France. So you would have think that once they are there, they were successful. That's where it stops. But if you want to remain that successful team, you have to keep questioning yourself and what you're doing. With success in their case, because in 2023 they were even more successful because they won all of the Grand Tours. And that's also what we want to reach with our clients, not only to become the best, but also because the world around us is constantly changing. If you think about technology, for example, I think everybody remembers the surge of social media and the impact it had on, for example, marketing. And I think everybody sees now the impact of generative AI and what it will have on the success or the failure of a lot of companies. Second thing is external factors, like, for example, COVID. I don't think anybody amongst us can say that COVID didn't affect them. It changed the way we worked, for example. We are now working in a hybrid workplace, which wasn't the case before. Then there's internal factors as well, like a change of strategy or a change of CEO. And a nice example there is the example of Netflix, which used to be a DVD rental company and which has transformed into the most successful streaming platform out there because of a strategy change. And it's crazy because if you look at the other DVD rental companies, we know how that ended. And then finally, there's regulation. And we know all about regulation in Belgium. It's constantly changing, so you have to be prepared for that. Think about GDPR. I think it has affected all IT and HR departments of all the companies here today. Think also about the new electrification norms and the disruptive impact it has for automotive sector, for example. So you have to be prepared to change because the world around us is very disruptive and change is the new normal.
Yes, thank you. And that brings us a bit to the end of our presentation. If you need to remind 4 things of this presentation, first is concentrate on your core business and be excellent at what you do, because then you will attract excellence. You will attract the experts in that domain to help you. 2, define your destination, really, and define the path also that brings you there. And never, never, never stop improving. Right? And for all other aspects, which are key also in your domain, but are not your core business, you can rely on the best partners to support you and to unburden you in that. That brings us to the end. It's difficult to have questions here with the setup, so don't hesitate to come and visit us. We have 2 booths with my team, the hybrid workplace booth and the customer interaction booth. So don't hesitate if you have questions, come and see us and we'll be happy to answer the questions. Thank you very much for your attention.
Thanks a lot, Paul.
Proximus next. Think possible.